Hey guys, so today I'm going to teach you how to touch the clitoris in a very different and special way. Not just how to stimulate the clitoris to a basic climax, but how to touch the clitoris to give her an extended 30-minute tantric orgasm, or 1 hour, or 5 minutes if you don't have an hour, whatever you want. The point is you can learn how to touch the clitoris in a different way that will give her this extended blissful orgasmic experience that goes on and on and on. And you know, everybody's out there trying to learn how to touch the clitoris to just stimulate it to that climax. Like every guy and his dog is doing that. You know, she gets the same thing every time from all those identical guys. It just doesn't stand out at all. And if you learn how to touch the clitoris this way, you're going to give her something completely different, really special, really new, really fresh, a different kind of really blissful orgasmic experience that keeps flowing. And she will absolutely love how this feels and how this way of touching the clitoris feels to her. And you know, I'm not just giving you hype. I have worked with women for 20 years as a sex coach, teaching them this way of touching the clitoris and observing how it is an experience on a completely different level for them. So over the years of working with women, I've discovered something really curious about the clitoris. It actually has kind of two modes of operating. Depending on how you touch the clitoris, you will activate one mode or the other mode. And it's the other mode that not many people know about, and it's really, really interesting. So normally you get a lot of talk about how you need to stimulate the clitoris to get it to the climax, so you need to stroke it and rub it and move on it and all that, right? And that's what you normally learn about how to touch the clitoris. But as soon as you do that, you kind of irritate the clitoris. That's the idea, to irritate it so that you can relieve it later. So it gets tense, it gets that itch, it gets that craving. And now the clitoris is not so sensitive to what is happening in this moment. It's kind of not very interested in what's happening in the moment. It wants to get there to relieve that itch, to release that tension. And of course, you know, that is very nice, that sensation of release, but it's a very quick moment. It's gone in a flash and that's it. And once you've triggered that irritation, you have committed now. You can't go back. You have to relieve it now. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of left frustrated. And that's why there is that myth that women really need to release, otherwise they're going to be left frustrated. But that's because you've irritated it in the first place. And then there is another way you can learn how to touch the clitoris that puts it into a very different mode. It's a way of touching that is more kind of grounded, more calm. It gives really nice sensations to the clitoris, but it doesn't irritate, it doesn't kind of activate that irritation, that craving, that itch in the clitoris. So the clitoris then becomes just sensitized. It becomes really sensitive. It feels a lot of pleasure in this moment, what you're giving it, every touch, but it's not going there. It's not craving anything. It doesn't want to release anything. It's not tense. It just becomes a really sensitive organ. So it's kind of like a cool clitoris that is just there enjoying the moment and it doesn't need any kind of release. And then there's a way to continue using that touch to intensify the pleasure, make it grow, but without triggering that irritation. And then it blends into this ongoing flow into her body that vibrates into her, and it feels amazing. It feels really pleasurable. So it becomes basically a flow of orgasmic waves from the clitoris into her body. So it's a different kind of orgasm. I explained this difference in my other video on the best female orgasms, that women can have two types, two groups of orgasms essentially. Peak orgasms are when you stimulate to that tension, to that one sensation of release, one explosion. And then you can have an ongoing orgasm that just sends orgasmic waves and sends a woman into a blissful orgasmic state that just, you know, keeps going. So she's having this kind of experience. You're not going to see her reaching a peak or exploding or going into like a spasm. You're just going to see her really kind of like vibrating and really enjoying every sensation. She will be floating in a blissful state and she will absolutely love how it feels. It's a really beautiful experience. It's a whole body orgasm. And it just keeps going for as long as you're touching the clitoris this way. That's why you can have it for 30 minutes, for an hour or whatever. And actually a lot of women who are taught this technique on how to touch the clitoris told me that they much prefer this kind of orgasm to typical climax orgasm, because it just feels a lot more kind of expansive and enriching and deep for them, and feels much more nourishing, makes them feel more alive, more vibrant. And at the end, most women don't even need to release anything. You don't need to worry that you need to still bring her to some kind of a release or a climax, because nothing's been irritated. She doesn't feel any kind of itch or craving or tension. She just feels like really lovely energy in her. It's all comfortable. There's no frustration about it. And in fact, if you try then to kind of switch to stimulating, to rubbing into a climax, you might actually ruin that state for her. So let me tell you now how to touch the clitoris to give a woman this kind of extended orgasm. So the key here is that people normally touch the wrong part of the clitoris. The clitoris is covered by the hood, and only the frontal part of it, kind of looking forward like a face under the hood, is the exposed part, the naked part that is far more sensitive. And normally you're told to not touch that part directly with your fingers because it's going to be too painful. So you're told to touch the clitoris through the hood or around the hood. And that is because they give you essentially rough techniques that are circles and a lot of movement and rubbing and stroking. So you can't use it on the sensitive part. It will be uncomfortable. You have to use it on less sensitive part, but then to create any kind of sensation, you have to move quite a lot, and then you put the clitoris into that irritated mode. So actually we do want to touch that naked part because that is the sensitive part, and that is the part that will send a lot of pleasure. But of course, we can't use these rough techniques like rubbing and stuff on it. We have to use a different kind of touch, much more delicate, much more subtle. So the kind of touch that works here is just pressure, really gentle pressure that's incrementally increasing over time, and that is all you need. And with that, the clitoris is going to be really sensitive, is going to get really aroused, and is going to send lots of pleasure into the woman, eventually becoming orgasmic waves. If you're delicate like this, it's perfectly comfortable, it's really pleasurable, and it doesn't irritate the clitoris. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find the clitoris. I have a video on how to find the clitoris quickly because you don't want to be rummaging around. And once you found it, you just want to connect with the frontal part of the clitoris. Just put the tip of your finger on it. If the clitoris is quite big, then you will probably feel the hood and the clitoris under it. Or if it is quite small, then you just be at the frontal part and you will be in the right place. Ideally, she actually talks to you and she tells you when you're exactly on that spot. That will help you because she will actually feel it. And then you just want to connect, just contact, no pressure, no movement, nothing. Just contact at first, relax, let her feel it, and that will start sending a sensation into her. And then you want to start playing with a bit of pressure. Now, the most invisible pressure that you wouldn't be able to see with the naked eye or, feel in your normal skin, just use a bit of that, press in a little bit and hold. And while you're holding, that is buzzing a sensation into her, on and on. So because you're on the front part of the clitoris, the pressure is directly into her body, yes, or towards her head. And from here on, you're pretty much using pressure on the clitoris all the time, and that keeps sending pleasure into her. And over the time, gradually, the pressure is increasing very, very slowly. Now, it would be weird if you just kept your finger on and just applied pressure for like half an hour. That would be weird. So you're playful with it. So you're pressing on the clitoris and it keeps buzzing that sensation into her. You're holding for a while. Then you just let go for a moment just to refresh, and then you press in again, yeah? You go off the clitoris for a second down, you come back to the clitoris again and press again, just to refresh. That really helps. And the last thing is when you're actually on the clitoris and you're putting pressure on it, you're not completely static. You're kind of a little bit playful with it. You're shifting a little bit, just to a little bit to a different angle, a little bit to a different place. It's very minimal. It's a tiny ball, and you're kind of like balancing on this unstable ball a little bit, yeah? And that keeps the clitoris really sensitive and not bored. So actually I have free practical training for you on oral sex, how to give a woman amazing oral sex, where I use this technique of increasing pressure for you to get much better idea in quite a detail. So go and have a look at that. That's completely available to you for free. You will find the link to it in the description below this video. And over the time, you're applying more and more pressure, but really gradual in very small increments over many minutes, and you are reading her. When you use a little bit more pressure, see that she inhales deeper. That means the sensation is nice, and if you don't see any reaction, just try a little bit more until she inhales. If she flinches, then it's a bit too much, you need to ease off. You can also ask her to guide you and to tell you when she wants you to keep the same pressure and when she wants you to add more pressure. That would be quite useful for you as well. Sometimes the clitoris pushes against you because it gets erect, so that's another good sign. You can kind of, just meet it there and let it push against you. So you need to be mentally relaxed. That makes her relaxed, that makes her more sensitive, more orgasmic. If she feels that you are relaxed, you just need to be really kind of in that Zen state of mind. You just send in her, buzz in those sensations into her, and little by little with more pressure, and you just like gently playful with it. And over the time you start using stronger pressure, like really going into her, and you can see how much sensation that gives her. You can start hooking a little bit from below the clitoris. That's a very intense move. You can kind of like brush your finger through the clitoris and then press on it with the bottom of your finger. That's another really strong move. So then she keeps all that streaming into her body, and that just blends into that blissful state for her, and she's having that ongoing orgasmic experience. She just vibrates with it, and you can go on for as long as you want to. For as long as you're touching her clitoris that way, she will carry on feeling it. Now take your time, explore it. It's not just a technique, it is a skill that you build. You build your ability to feel it, to become masterful with it, to drive that orgasm for her, to sense her, to be intuitive about what you need to do when. That all takes time. You'll get better at it, and she will get better at it too. The more you do that for her, the more she becomes sensitive and she becomes more and more orgasmic from this kind of touch. And if you need more help, you want to become more masterful at it, you can check out my online programs for men where, among many other things, I train men properly in this technique with a lot of instruction and walkthroughs and videos, and I teach more intense moves for different kinds of these extended orgasms through the clitoris. And that's because if you learn how to touch the clitoris this way and you become really masterful at it, you will never need anything else for the clitoris. You will open 1,000 worlds for her. She will never want to go back to just, basic circles and rubbing and things like this. Trust me. So go ahead, practice, and let her enjoy it. And remember that you also have some free practical training available to you on these techniques. It's in the link in the description below this video. And now that you've learned about this kind of orgasm, why don't you go and watch the video on the 4 types of vaginal orgasms that you can give to a woman inside the vagina.